I've been thinking about is this game coming up on Saturday at Michigan Stadium. Michigan and USC. It's consuming Michigan fans' minds and hearts, and I think Saturday can't get here soon enough. Let's go. Welcome in. Welcome to the pod. This is the Maize and Blue review. We're talking about Michigan and this game right here. This is a game where if Michigan wins the game, they're back. And everything that you thought about Sharon Moore and his staff and his team is back in play for the foreseeable future. Things have settled down. The confidence and enthusiasm, it's just all back and ready to roll. The other side, devastating. It's great college football when it's like this. You'd rather have had Michigan not lose to Texas, and you would rather have had USC look like on defense like they had under Lincoln Riley his whole time at USC and his whole time at Oklahoma. But then we saw that LSU game and it was like, whoa, this is a way different deal. Can that just one game, does that mean it's different for USC? These are the kind of things that are on my mind. And these are the kind of things that we are going to talk about today on the show. Now, was it a good idea to name Alex Orji as the starter for the game coming up on Saturday? I've got my thoughts on that. Is Michigan's smash approach a good thing for Saturday, for the rest of the season, for Michigan overall? We're going to start with the road to victory for the Maize and Blue against the Trojans Saturday at 3:30. Now, you got Wink versus Riley. Wink, every week in the pros, was going up against offensive coordinators that put together game plans to stress his defense. And I don't know if there's two better offensive minds, offensive coordinators, definitely offensive minds in all of college football than Sark and Riley. And Wink has to deal with these guys, both of them, inside of 2 weeks. So we're ready to find out if he's going to be the real deal or not. And you just can't get away from it. We examine every single part of this game and everything, permutations, all of it. But you got in this corner, smash. And in this corner, you got the Sunshine, Southern California pretty boys. And they're what's going to win out? Is it going to be the Golden State, or is it going to be the grit of the Midwest and the Maize and Blue and the ground and pound? You don't have to go much farther than that. And in fact, I think that's the biggest thing. That Michigan, going back to that game against Washington, that's where it was born. Nobody was thinking that Michigan was going to run the ball every down. And in fact, at halftime, they were only up 10-0 and they were having success. But every person said, well, this is fine, but they're going to have to open it up. Well, they didn't. They went right down, and then they just kept doing it and again and again. And it has spawned what became the run. Yeah, the defense was important. Of course, in football, you have to have that. You have to play complementary football, but it was as much as anything. And the number one thing, the smash approach with Michigan. And now it is being called out on Michigan is called out on the carpet after what we saw against USC. And they don't have Jim Harbaugh anymore and all those other coaches that Jim wanted to take with him to, ironically, California. And it's now a new age for Michigan with and Colston Loveland, you put him at questionable, Michigan's tight end. They're going to have an entirely new offense than they had, entirely new starters, I should say, against USC on Saturday. Can they use the formula that Michigan has used for the last 3 years and run roughshod over USC, the pretty boys from Southern California? That's where we're at. That's where I'm at. And, Michigan, with Alex Orji, he's going to make his first start. Let me just say that I think everybody got it wrong on Monday. The reason it was a smart move by Sharon Moore, and other decisions not so smart, but Monday, when you have a quarterback, an inexperienced quarterback, a quarterback that's going to be making his first start, you need to do everything that you can as a program. There's a reason we all talk about it being the most important position. It is the most important position. So you have to do everything to give this guy the confidence and the game plan and his teammates around him and everybody else, the coaches around him, inject that enthusiasm and the confidence into Alex Orji. That's what Sharon Moore did on Monday, and that was a smart move. Now I get but the element of surprise. No. Stand by that guy all week long and be in his ear. When people say, speak it into existence. Alex, you're the man. Alex, you're the man. You're the starter. You're going to go out there, and you're going to take this game plan, and you're going to win this game for Michigan. And that's what everybody is doing right now with Alex Orji. You're patting him on the back, you're putting your arm around him, and you whatever else that you want to do. Hold his hand, tell him, you're the man, Alex. And we can't wait to see you go out there and ball out for the maize and blue. That's what. There's the other stuff, and that's fine. If you would have been the coach or these various media members who are, and anybody, hey, everybody's got their opinions, and they speak them. That's what they're supposed to do. That's why they get paid the big bucks. But the making it sound like, oh, what a huge mistake. And I'll throw it's now become cliche. A lot of people that don't sound like they know ball when they say that about Sharon Moore this past Monday. But I do think that the plan and the road to victory, I think there is just one plan. And it is for Orji to do what he does best. And what Alex Orji does best is the R in the RPO. What Alex Orji does best when he played the 2 snaps last year, when he came in against Ohio State, against Iowa, against Alabama, against Washington, it was running the ball. That's what you want to see, and that's the game plan. Alex Orji running the football. And what have we seen from Michigan in the first 3 games? We have seen Khalil Mullings look like, people have said he looks like Hassan Haskins. I don't mind that comparison. He looks like he's fresh. He's running downhill. He's got some breakaway speed. He can avoid tacklers. He can break tackles. Khalil Mullings, very important for Michigan. Orji, Mullings, and I'm going to put him as a wild card. Uh-oh. I was freezing up there for a second. Don't freeze on me now. Donovan Edwards. I think Donovan Edwards is going to throw the ball. I think Donovan Edwards, they are thinking about, and this is where the coaches, we can all say, yeah, let's see, use him differently. Don't just run him up the middle. Donovan was talking about needing to get in the rhythm. Donovan needs to have I think his head is screwed on right. And I don't know how much pass protection he is going to have to do, because I don't think Michigan's going to be throwing the ball a lot. But Edwards, is he need to be patient. He said himself, he's not listening to TV commentators say that, well, they say that Donovan needs to set up his blocks. He says he's seeing it fine. But if they need to feed, number one, Mullings, number two, Edwards, and the ringleader, Alex Orji. Those are the three players. Now, this offensive line, Michigan was built. You talk to anyone who has ever played football at Michigan, and you know what they all say? Michigan, you can say they're this and they're that. They're an offensive line. That's offensive line U. That's what it's been built on. Michigan up front, the road graders, the big uglies. They're what win you football games. That's what they're going to lean on. And yeah, you might not like what you've seen for the first three games. Last game, I think you probably liked what you saw from the guys up front. And if you told me that they need to figure out right tackle and they need to get a lot better play at right tackle or all this other stuff is irrelevant, I'll agree with you. But they've got 5 different guys that they brought in and recruiting, and this is Michigan and everything else. Offensive line, the coach is a former offensive lineman. If they can't get the right tackle correct for the opener of the Big Ten, then we're all wasting our time. They need to do the same thing with Link. Attaboy! I like that Michigan has played 3 games to USC's 2. That they're in rhythm from week to week and ready to go for this game. But Link's huge. And so's the rest of this offensive line. Crippen at center. I think they're just going to roll with Crippen. Same thing. Hey, we went through the non-conference. Cripp, it's your job. Hey, Jadis, be prepared. But Cripp, lead us to victory. We want one voice under center, and that's Alex Orji. We want one guy snapping the ball, and that's Greg Crippen. And that rest of that offensive line knows that it's on them to pave the way to victory for Michigan. I don't think they're going to be throwing the ball very often at all. I do think that they're going to give them a couple they passes to get him in rhythm, safe passes, sure, all of those things. And whatever else he does well, if it's rolling him out and throwing the ball to the right, do it. But this game is going to be won and lost on the legs of Orji and Mullings and Edwards and the plow horses up front. No, you can go anywhere else, listen to anybody else. You know ball. You know what it's going to take. You know Michigan football history. Recent and all the way going back. This is the pillar of the program, the line. And, yeah, we can sit around complaining about, well, I wish they would have done this, and why are they doing that, and Sharon, and all of these things. This is it. They've got to win this game. There's no other way around it. They build a big game. Yeah, this is a big game. It's all out there for Michigan. Things change. We sit around blabbing our mouths, and I sit around blabbering all, this and that, 10-2, playoff, and everything else. And then we watch them play. We take everything that we said, and it is out the window. Who cares what everybody said? Now that we've actually watched them play, I know what they have to do. And so do you. That's what it's coming down to. And yeah, Michigan, they're in with a chance. They got a chance to pull this upset. They know their season's on the line. Oh, they've been talking, is that defense embarrassed about how they played the first 3 games? I don't know if that's the right word. But they know that if this team wants to reach some of their goals, that they got to play a lot better. They know that they're going to have to, when we go to the other side of the ball, they're going to have to get to Moss, the quarterback. They know that the pass defense, say whatever you want about it, it's going to have to be a lot better against the Trojans. And if Michigan is going to go anywhere, and yeah, it starts Saturday, it's on the defense to come up big in the big situations. And oh yeah, they haven't been good. So I'll look at those first 3 games on the money downs, on third down. They need to play a lot, but let's state the obvious. They need to play a lot better on third down. They need to tackle a lot better. The time for, well, we're adjusting to a new scheme, over. The time is we didn't have the communication, over. They can't be thinking. They got to play. They need to get in their spots, and they need to ball out. Personnel-wise, I think they're capable. I've seen them do it. So have you. In the biggest games, we have seen the majority of these guys that have played defense do it. Now, what's Wink cooking up? Whoo, I don't know. Let's go, Wink. There's Wink. What's Wink? Yeah, Wink. Let's do it. Whatever you can do, Wink, now that you've put it all in there, and now that you have it, and Riley and you are right out there with the gloves off. Can you help, Wink? Can you lead this team? Can you put them in the proper spots? Can you coordinate this defense to look a little bit like last year's defense? Because if, again, this is the second time that I'm going to go back and look at the first 3 games, the defense doesn't look like Michigan's defense from last year. They don't resemble the Michigan defense from last year. All the things that they did really well, they really haven't done in the first 3 games. So now's the time. You know, the preseason is over. You're mulligan. Yeah, you got up on the tee box and drove it into the woods on number 1 at Augusta. We're allowing you to get back out there, and you got to hit it again. And you need to not be thinking about gripping it tight, thinking, oh my God, I hope I don't hit it. You need to drill it right down the fairway if you're Wink Martindale and the Michigan defense. That's where I sit. Those are the first 2 items. Let's get to the third one. Is smash a good thing? Well, I've already stated what football under Lincoln Riley has been like. Lincoln Riley took over at Oklahoma, and this guy is a quarterback whisperer. This guy can draw it up. This guy understands offense. There were a few teams. I think the Cowboys were offering him everything in the world to come in. A couple NFL teams said, we want, who's the sharpest mind, offensive mind in all the football? It's Riley. But the one thing about those Oklahoma teams, they sucked on defense. They couldn't stop anybody ever. And they changed coordinators. They brought in different type of players, and they didn't stunt, and then they tried everything, and then Riley went to SoCal for all of that money, and everybody said, well, he's only going to go as far as his defensive coordinator, his defense takes, and they were terrible. They were such an embarrassment. When I watched them a couple years ago play against Utah, that I have never seen anything like it in college football in all my life. The bad angles, oh, wait a second, I don't want to tackle you. And yeah, we call it the 2-hand touch. The softest looking defense that I've ever seen. That's what they've had. That's what they've been known for. That's everything to them. And now, so they get in, they know Big Ten plays coming. They hire a new defensive coordinator again. They've got this personnel. They're changing things up. And then it looked a lot different. But that was one game. Michigan's been at their smash for the past 3 years. 3 years and 3 games. And now Riley has been at playing defense and complementary football for 1 game. I want to say 2 because they played whoever else. And, some doormat and ran over him, somebody that nobody even knows or whatever. But they played LSU and they looked really good. So maybe they are, but they always were. Maybe we could pull the old Dennis Green. They are what we thought they were. I think I might go into the meeting room and I might be running around. They are who we thought they were. Tell that offensive line. First-time offensive line coach Grant Newsome. He's a young enough guy. Maybe he doesn't know who Denny Green was. They are who we thought they were. That's what he needs to do. Get in there and tell him whatever is going to work for him. I've seen a lot of people on the Maize and Blue Review. There's been good discussions, as you might expect. And now is as good a time as any to tell you that you like thinking about the upcoming game and talking about the upcoming game. You're in the right spot. You're on the Good Afternoon Michigan Football podcast with somebody who's been covering Michigan in his 30th year now. And we're talking about Michigan football all day and all night over on the Den. And you like analytics, you like stories, you like features, you like recruiting. It's all there on the Maize and Blue Review. I urge you to join up by going to michigan.rivals.com. But there was a thread that said Michigan can't just smash. This can't be Michigan's identity, in essence, is what this poster was saying. And his thought is that you can't succeed in college football. You can't get a quarterback. They want to throw the ball. You can't get a wide receiver. They want to catch the ball. They don't want to block every time. And then somebody would say, well, what about JJ? Say, well, JJ they got lucky. You know what? That's a very good comeback. Well, what about JJ? What about JJ? You know, Harbaugh went all of those years. You know, Harbaugh was a master, right? He's a great coach. Nobody's doubting that. We were doubting it after 5 years, but nobody's doubting it now. The thing that was so weird about Harbaugh is that he knows how to get a quarterback and get him ready for a big game. And the other thing that he knows is about Ohio State and the rivalry. And he wasn't able to beat Ohio State, and he wasn't able to get a quarterback, which is crazy. But then he did with JJ. And then this happened in 2021 against Washington. And it was Josh Gaddis. I remember watching him in the offseason, and the question came in, you know, what's going to be different with the offense and blah, blah, blah. And he gave the most cliched Michigan answer ever. He said, we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball more. I was rolling my eyes. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's the answer about the offense? Well, he was right. It's what he did. It's what Michigan did. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, can this be Michigan's identity, that they're going to be a service academy, but in the Big Ten? They're going to run the ball all the time, and they're forget the high flying quarterbacks and everything else. There's a point to that, but the point right now is this is what they have. What they have that's going for them the best is smash, is Alex Orji. It is his legs that they're going to win with. It's not his arm. It's not his downfield passing. It's none of that. It's him in the RPO game. It's him handing the ball off. It's him directing this offense like he did in that first drive in the spring game. It's running the ball. Now, they've already shown their hand about they're not recruiting dual threat quarterbacks totally. In fact, you know, you look and, you know, next year, Carter Smith, I think he is. I mean, he was a baseball player, and I don't know, maybe he'll be great and everything else, and he is somebody that can run. But Jaden Davis, who is a freshman this year, the 4-star out of Charlotte, North Carolina, he's a pocket passer. And Brady Hart, the quarterback that they have a commitment for in 2026, he's a pocket passer. He's not a dual threat quarterback. And he can move around a little bit, got some athleticism, just like Davis, but these guys are pocket passers. So the part about, Michigan, they can't recruit wide receivers, and they're not, if they were, if they had Carter Smith and then Brady Hart was some dual threat quarterback and wasn't very highly rated, you could say, yeah, well, Michigan, this is the way they're doing. And oh yeah, they've been able to grab some wide receivers that are pretty highly rated in here. And those conversations, you think they're just telling them, hey, come on in. We can't wait for you to block for us. Are you guys ever going to throw the ball? So in the short term, this Saturday, and I would say hopefully for the rest of the season, it's going to be Alex Orji, and it is going to be smash. And it is going to be 1970s football. And it's going to be Ricky Leach. And, however far you want to go back and anything else, it's going to be run, run, run. That's Michigan this year. If they're going to have, I think, the best version of themselves right now, that's what it's going to be. Now, I'm waiting to be a little bit surprised about Orji and throwing the ball. There were a couple throws that he made in the spring game that were fine. Right off the bat, he wasn't fine. But then he made some fine throws. But then there was one or two. It was like, ooh. And then the pass that he missed on that third series to Fred Moore, I got news for you. Justin Jefferson wasn't catching that ball if he was going full blast down the field. People are like, oh, he pulled up. Oh, he didn't. That's an excuse. But again, I'm just trying to, if he would have connected on that, I'd feel a little bit better about where I'm sitting right now about, let's just see. He's going to unleash, a downfield pass, a couple downfield passes. So I'm going to have to see that, before but the confidence, Sherrone Moore even said they wanted to do that to get his confidence. The confidence, if he completes a pass like that, cannot be understated. And I think for the fans, the one that they saw him, short arm and, dribble down, that after the spring game and then seeing that one, woo, the next two touch passes for touchdowns, Donovan Edwards and Hansen, those were nice. Those are things that you can lean on a little bit and say, good job, Alex, a little bit more of that. But there's about 10 or 15 other different throws that he's going to have to make other than the rollout and little dump off pass over the middle. Going to be a lot more that we're going to have to see. So that's the uncertain part of it all. That's where I'm at. I've unloaded all of it. Now, let's see where you are at. I always appreciate the people coming on in and giving their viewpoints on Michigan football, where it's at, where it's going, and whether you just want to do the short term or what is going on Saturday. That's where I am. I'm preoccupied with the game on Saturday, or if you get a longer view, go ahead and do it. Here's Smash Ferris. Ferris, thank you. I went on Ferris's Smash the Numbers podcast yesterday and had a fun time for an hour talking about Michigan football and Michigan and USC. And now here's Ferris pointing out that we are only 60 subscribers away to 5,000. Let's make it happen. I think it's going to happen. I feel good. Only 60 away. Let's go. Scott, I think this should be in all caps. Scott has written big game. I don't know how much more we could say it. I could scream it. I can pound the table. It's as big a game as you can have right now for Michigan. This is it. Yeah, and you can be worried. I think that's understandable. SW Lion wants to see more creativity, less predictability about what Michigan will run based on formation. There's a part of me that I think the schematics on defense, on the not with Michigan when they have the ball and with USC, I think this is predictable. SW Lion. I think it's Michigan lining up, putting their hand in the dirt, putting a hat on a hat, handing off the ball, and smashing. That's the game plan. I don't think it's about and I do think Donovan's going to throw one. I mean, so there is some stuff that's going to happen, but I don't think that it's creativity when it comes down to Kirk Campbell. I mean, Lincoln Riley or Sark could be running the Michigan offense, and it doesn't matter about the formations and everything. Hat on hat, run the football, 3 yards, 4 yards at a clip, bust a couple. That's how Michigan's going to win the game. So it's predictable. I think it's the most predictable thing ever. They don't want to pass. They want to run it, jam it down USC's throat, and send them back, high-tailed back with their tail between their legs, back to California. I do think on the other side, Riley's a mastermind when it comes to offensive creativity. So Wink is going to have to match that. That's where the creativity and all of the coaching and the schematics come in. Offense, meat and potatoes. Defense and stopping Riley, that's where you get up on the board and start drawing everything up. So I don't know if I agree with you halfway and then disagree with you half of that. Ferris is throwing some numbers up here with interceptions. It's like having a handicap, 9 points. They need to stop that. Yeah, I don't think I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think that turnovers aren't going to be a big part of this. Yeah, they don't want to be turning the ball over. True that. Wink got fired. Well, there's been plenty of guys who have been fired and then have gone on and that have had success. So it happens, and we've seen it. But, it's true what you're saying. And, yeah, John Harbaugh fired him, and then he went after a Michigan guy in McDonald. So, yeah, that is true. And let's see. This is, yes, I think that is 100% accurate. This is the biggest game in Sharon Moore's young coaching career because if he loses it, we'll be pushing the panic button. If he loses it by 1 point, the panic button will be pushed, and it will continue to sound until they can, I don't know, win 3-4 games, get back in it. I don't know how many games that would be. That would have been Minnesota, Washington, at Illinois, Michigan State. If they ripped off 4 in a row and then beat Oregon, and then I could say, okay, things have settled down a little bit. That's why, the Texas game, it felt like that was just like you weren't used to it. They got, smacked upside the head. It was embarrassing. You were crying. You were mad. But it pointed where everything was now on this game where they have to win it. And so I'm, thinking about, a lot of times you don't even like thinking about like, oh, what if they lose? But for a second we will. I think they'll have to rip off 5 games and beat Oregon. So the much easier thing to do, Shadyville, is just go ahead and win this game coming on Saturday. Yeah, well, I don't know if Georgia Tech ran a triple option, right? So I don't think Michigan's running that, but they are running. Scott is talking about they need to pass 15 times. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that there's a set number. I don't think that they have to pass it. I mean, they're going to throw a couple, but, this game is about running the ball. So, you want to talk about they need to do this and that, throwing the ball. I disagree. I don't think I don't think they need to throw for that many yards. And I don't think there's a set number on it at all. Let's get some people that have not jumped in and see where they are at. James says Michigan has run a pro-style D the last few years. We have new starters and transfers that came in running simple Ds. at the last schools that they were at. So you're talking about, an adjustment period. I hear you on that. John talking about Orji. I have to say this little timeout. The studio here, I can feel the air conditioning coming in. I don't know if it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, our air conditioner died. And the guy came out and he said, I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but your air conditioner is fried. So we need a brand new air conditioner. And so the guys, they got here this morning and they have put the new air conditioner in, and I could feel it. And I tell you, when you have not, when I was young, I didn't have an air conditioner. It's pretty crazy to think about, but I can feel it. I can feel the air. It feels so good. And it reminds me of just feeling good. Yesterday, I went to the grocery store and I thought that I was being set up in a good way. People were being they weren't being overly nice and they weren't being too nice. They were being perfect. Everything I did, I walked into the store and I was looking for a certain can of beans for this chili I was making. This lady was in the way. And I said, oh, it's all right. You're not in the way. And she spotted the beans for me and handed them to me. And she was, it was just perfectly nice. And then there were like 3 or 4 more instances like that. There was the butcher back there. I was looking for some specific kind of spicy breakfast, what they call breakfast meat, whatever, sausage, breakfast sausage, spicy for chili I was going to make. And the butcher, what are you looking for? And I told him, and he said, oh, this is great in chili. I put this in there, and and I was like, it wasn't too much. It wasn't, it was just great. And so all of that, I'm just talking about, it was just for like 15 minutes. And so as I was standing in line, there was only one person in front of me. I had the thought in my mind, like, this is how the world should be. People are being real nice. This is what a great feeling. And then the lady behind me said, how do you like those shoes? This was a different lady. So I got these, the second pair of these like running shoes that I have. And I said, I like them. They're pretty nice shoes. Oh, I'm thinking about getting a pair. But that was it. And while I was going through that, I was thinking, I feel like I'm on camera. Like, let's target this guy and let's just be nice to him and let's just see how he reacts. But I looked around, there was no cameras, and I walked out of the store and I said, man, this is life, man. This is how it should be. Man, people being nice, people being friendly. I don't know why I got, the air. It feels good in here. That's what it is all about. John thinks that Orji is going to shock the world. I'll tell you, being at this is a game. It's weird that USC's in the Big Ten. It's weird that it's a Big Ten opener that USC's coming in. But I love that they're traveling. I wish it was cold. It's going to be hot. I wish it was cold for those Southern California dudes coming in with their ragtop car. I just wish that was Bermuda, whatever. But 2 classic teams in the big house, and being in that atmosphere in a jam-packed Michigan Stadium, Orji completes a couple passes. The confidence that I was talking about that Sharon Moore, boy, it's just going to, he hits that first one that he's going to throw 8 yards down the sideline to Samaj Morgan, because, that I would put, it's minus 900 that's going to be his first throw, a sideline screen, because that's every offensive coordinator does that. So he's going to do that. The whole stadium, they're going to, and you're going to feel the confidence. And then if he throws the ball and he completes a pass, like for a first down, the confidence is even going to be more. And if somehow he fires one down the field and it's on the numbers and it's caught, that place is going to be going wild. So you're right, man. You just imagine. It's like a baseball game, like a Tiger game. get a little hit, the next one, get a guy, start moving the line, you get the next guy up there, and then he can feel it. Next thing you know, they're in the race, they can see the playoffs, everybody's going. You can't wait. Baseball's back, football's back. You're excited. It's a great time to be alive. So yeah, that's going to be fun if that happens coming up on Saturday. JSE is in for the first time. If they look bad, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't either, JSE. I am not thinking about that at all. I'm only thinking about the good things right now. I'm going to deal with it when I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. I'm not even thinking about that bridge. Mark says J.K. Dobbins has new life thanks to Jim Harbaugh. Well, J.K. Dobbins had an Achilles, and J.K. Dobbins, the Buckeye, I remember the first time that I saw Blake Corum, I said, man, Blake Corum reminds me of J.K. Dobbins. Because J.K. Dobbins was a great back at Ohio State, and now here he is running for Harbaugh. I think, was it last year or the year before, Dobbins came out and had a great one game, and they got hurt. And then that was it. But yeah. Hey, you want to be a running back in the NFL? Go play for Jim Harbaugh. So I'm with you on that. I think, Harbaugh against the Steelers on Sunday, that's a good one. Scott is wondering about Loveland. I think if I had to guess right now, I think he's going to be a game time decision, and we're going to see what kind of discomfort he has on Friday, and if he's going to be able to give it a go or not. So I know that doesn't make you feel good. I don't know how that makes you feel. I mean, he's not been ruled out. I don't think he's practiced, but he might be in, maybe on a pin. I don't know. So maybe. I don't think anybody knows for sure. I don't think he's been ruled out. Mark is saying from -8.5 to +6.5 in 3 weeks. Riley making QB stars out of 5 stars and dust. Yeah, well, it's a combination, Mark. You've watched Michigan and you've watched USC. I mean, that's what's happened here. I mean, that's how it's worked. And in more, it's not a surprise at all. Miller Moss threw 5-6 touchdowns in the bowl game. Lincoln Riley he always does this with quarterbacks. I mean, he's the best quarterback coach / offensive coordinator, offensive mind, head coach in all of college football. So that's no surprise. That he might have a defense, that is a shocker. And that how Michigan played against Texas with everything that we have gone over for the past 2 weeks, that's why you get this dramatic shift in the line that we have seen. P. Maximus is a regular on this particular podcast, and he says we are not getting the push pressure from the D-line. Well, I agree. I think the pass rush and the coverage, however we want to rank them, if we're going to talk about what's going to be important for the Michigan defense, using communication, tackling, on your keys, all right. Pass rush, cover, and pass rush. The kind of things kind of work hand in hand. But, yeah, give me Josiah Stewart. Give me Derek Moore with some big games. Mason Graham is supposed to be the best defensive tackle in the country. Let's see that. Kenneth Grant. Let's see him kicking ass. Big 78. And let's see, excuse me, getting choked up talking about the Michigan defense. Let's see 15, and let's see number 1 in Barham. Let's see them have the best games in a Michigan uniform. Because if we're going to be honest, 15-1, I fell a little bit for the hype. Sorry about that. I did. I watched Houseman, so that wasn't so much. But the Barham, I got a little bit I just fell for. I guess people that went to practice were like, oh man, a bar ham. And then other people that would go to practice be like, oh, bar. And so is he capable? Cornerback 2. Let's have a big game. Because they're Riley is going like this. He sees that cornerback 2, and how do you draw a bullseye? Is that it? That's what he's doing. He's going to draw. He's going to run one here, and then he's going to run another one, flood the zone. He's going to try to trick this corner, and next thing you know, they're headed here. Michigan and Wink has to be ready for that. Cornerback 2, very important. I feel Will Johnson, go ahead. Throw at Branch and Will Johnson. I think Will Johnson can win that matchup. I hope they do go at Will Johnson. Arkansas State did. So did Fresno State. I don't think Lincoln Riley is going to go to him, but I hope he does, because that will be a spot where Michigan can win, one that we're looking at. Mark says maybe Graham is hurt. Seems nothing close to last year. Nothing. Well, he was hurt in camp. So whatever he's dealing with, was that a shoulder? I don't know. So he was hurt. So coming back, Shadyville's talking about they don't trust the depth. Well, the depth, everybody's got to show up. What you're saying is true. It doesn't look like the Graham from last year. The depth, at different times we've seen Ike Iwana and Benny's a little bit slowed coming back, but he's played well. But there's been some different guys in there. Scar, when he goes through the tape, he's a fan of Etta. So am I. These guys need to have their best games. Pierce, who's the other one? Brandt, step it up. TJ Guy, just name off the whole defense. This guy needs to play well. This guy needs to play well. But hey, can your best players play the best? That's how you win. I mean, it's a little cliche-ish, but let's see the entire unit come out. Can they do it? Can they play this way? I don't know. Let's see. We got a couple coming in here late. Ted, if Orji's the QB, it has to be smash with play action. Yeah, well, Ted, I would suggest that, I don't know if you just got in or not, to go back and watch this pod. Sure. You want to talk about play action, and I think the first couple passes are going to be key. They're going to be key for my blood pressure, yours, and my just overall health. But I think that what a complete pass or 2 or 3 can do for Michigan, for the crowd, for Alex Orji, for the offense, for the defense, for everyone, is just, it's not unimaginable, but it would just inject just so much life. Whoa, a 10-yard complete pass. Woo! I mean, it could just be just out of sight. A pass completion. It can happen. Orji on the first series of the spring game took the team down and ran it in. And that's where there was just a glimmer of like, you got a guy. Like Orji's, he's big. Jalen Milroe, Orji's bigger than Jalen Milroe. Orji's 6'3". And he's got big hands and a wide back, and he comes down and he gives you a pop. And not the kind of pop you're getting at the candy store. He just can wallop you. That's what we're talking about. No, this isn't some, gimmick QB, skinny dude, Jaden Daniels out there. This is Orji. A brick blank house coming at you. Who was that? That's what it's about. All right. Take the last few here. Whew. Cut Orji some slack. Yeah, the slack is all cut. Orji, to me, I'm giving him, I hope Orji watches this. If Alex Orji was watching this podcast, I would say, son, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Just go out there and ball out. I don't want you thinking too much. I feel like I just want to put my arm around Orji and to give him the talk and say, hey, yeah, you've waited your life for this opportunity. And you might have thought that it was going to happen a month ago. So did I. But this is your spot. This is your opportunity. Just go grab it. Just go out and play like you can. The team is all behind you. Every Michigan fan is behind you. Just go out and do it. Yeah. I mean, sometimes we have to talk about what happened, and I have to give you my opinion. There was, I saw some Michigan fans talking about, Moore pulling up, and, I was just giving you my thought on that. It could have been Tyreek Hill. He wasn't catching that ball. But it doesn't matter anymore. People want some passing downfield. Scott saying we are redshirting Jaden Davis. The other 4 quarterbacks are all backlogs. Well, I don't know why you're saying that you're redshirting Jaden Davis. I did see more than one person indicate that there was some Team Davis had indicated that they didn't want their son playing this year, that they wanted him redshirted. And I don't know. And again, this goes to, this wasn't the Maize and Blue review, but look, talking and getting the number of a quarterback's dad and then communicating with him and then putting it out to people like Davis doesn't want to play. For what it's worth, I asked Sharon Moore directly on Monday, is there any plan to redshirt Jaden Davis? Could he be in the mix if needed? And he says there have been no conversations about redshirting. So when you talk in the affirmative like this, it makes me think, Scott, that you are buying into some false narrative put out there. And, and maybe true enough. Some parent is talking to some dude. And so, that's going to get him some hits. And, this is what they would like. What you would like and what actually happens when you get there on the football field, those are two different things. It's nice for your story that you put out there, but I'm not, I'm going to take the coach at his word. And you know what? Hopefully it doesn't even get down to where you have to think if Jaden Davis is going to have to burn his red shirt, because I do think that, so they've already, they've crashed and burned, let's be honest, with Davis Warren. Now Orji's up. Identical. Tuttle, maybe. So you're talking about the 4 guys. Hopefully you're not getting to. Hopefully we don't get to a 5th guy, because I don't think that I don't think that you guys can handle it. I know that I can't, and I don't think you guys can. So let's not even talk about it. Even when Orji threw those 2 short TD passes, he looked shaky. Hansen had to go low to get it. Yeah, look, let's not. He completed them. There was nice touch on him. You'd be surprised if you went through some of Peyton Manning and Tom Brady's throws. Not every throw is right in the breadbasket with complete and perfect touch. So let's. Oh, come on. I'm giving him credit for it. He also had a guy in his face. And he went around him and threw the ball. A catchable pass. If Hansen would have dropped that, it would have been all on him. Come on now, P. Maximus. No, come on. Well, we don't know what's going on. Shady Bill's been listening to a USC podcast, and they called Orji a running back playing quarterback. Well, I think that if you're a non-Michigan fan, I called Alex Orji a Wildcat quarterback myself, based on what I have seen from him. So if we are just going on what we have seen from him, then what a USC podcast and what anybody's saying about him and knocking, he's a linebacker playing quarterback, all of those things you have a point with. That's why it's such a big deal. Everybody's thinking that, even if you're like just a super duper pom-poms, never even think about anything going wrong with Michigan. It's all positivity. Let's see it happen. You know what everybody's saying in the back of your mind, and you're thinking it can be done. Hey, this is Michigan. These coaches must have liked something about him. Harbaugh recruited him. And so these guys must have something. But so when you see it, though, you'll feel it in the stadium. Everybody is going to be uplifted if you see some completions, because that's in the back of everyone's mind. Best possible case, Mark's putting out here. Let's see if he has the best possible case. Players taking 1% off each play. That adds up to a big difference. Just looks like the team really not all in every play. Tiny errors adding up to poor play. Maybe I don't know about the 1% and guys taking off plays. I think when you have a bunch of new players and a bunch of new coaches and a new scheme, that this is the kind of stuff that you get. This is you see mistakes. You have issues with communication. You are not aligned correctly, and that's on the defense. And the offense is a completely new offense. And you have not one, but you've had two quarterbacks competing. You've not had one, but you've had two or three centers, different voices and different snaps. You've had the competition out on right tackle. You've got a brand new head coach. The Hall of Famer, a guy who's probably going to get a statue one day, is off to California. The beloved strength and conditioning, everything. I think, everybody knows this, but Mark, it's, you're saying it looked like they're not all in. That's what happens. I played for a basketball team in high school. We weren't very good, but we were competitive back in the Western Lakes division, back in the day. But then we would play some really good teams. I remember one particular Thanksgiving break, they brought in a bunch of PSL teams like Cody and Chadsey, and we just scrimmaged. Those guys slapped us with a press. We turned the ball over every single time. Our shooting percentage, if somebody would watch that, you'd say, you guys shouldn't even be playing basketball. You guys can't even dribble. Like if you were there weren't anybody watching that. Ball going off your leg, stripped left and right. You're playing a better team, you can have some errors that way. That's what it looked like against Texas. And then you add in with the different players and everything else. Probably not the best analogy, using my high school team going up against Cody in a Thanksgiving practice. Scott, hey, look, Scott, I think the recruiting talk and, Michigan losing out on Carr and Dante Moore and Underwood. And I'll ask you this, Scott. We all talk about Michigan's culture and buy-in and identity for the last 3 years that got them to the mountaintop. Part of that was with the quarterbacks and not wanting to play the all-in game. Let's, get $10 million and let's just throw money at people. So did you like the identity and the culture of Michigan because it got you a national championship? Or do you wish that they just would have, like everybody complains about, just gave into the bag? Because all of these guys, every time that Michigan lost a guy, all I heard from everybody is that, and for 20 years I heard it, yeah, I just took the bag. I don't want guys that are bag check. I don't want guys that are just going after the money. And yet, I have told you repeatedly in that when you go to professional sports, which college is just like now, it's free agency every time, almost every time, free agents go for the most upfront money because they say things like they're looking out for their family and they never know when they're going to play another down and they're going to get theirs while they can. That's capitalism. So you just have to decide to yourself, Scott, did you like the identity now or the last 3 years and the culture, or you did like it, but now you want to change? I think that's the answer. You want to change a little bit. And let's see. Let's see. You could be onto something. I'm yelling and screaming because every time I start talking about the bag and the culture and stuff, like, you want the culture. What we want is great players to come to Michigan and like not take, just have their own brand with NIL and not have any upfront money and anything else, because that means they're greedy son of a bitches or something and they should go somewhere else and they're bad kids. But, you make a decision if you're out there. I mean, the game has changed. I mean, which one is it? Run the ball in all caps. Thank you for that. Run the ball. Go blue. A punt on 3rd and 15 is better than an interception. Live to fight another down. I'll say a sack on 3rd and 15 or a no gain on 3rd and 15 is better than an interception. But we all get your point. All right. Complaining, I don't think today is the day. I see a lot of it. Complain. The time to complain was this past weekend, if you wanted to complain. Certainly after the Texas game, you maybe even you spill into Monday if you want to complain. Hey, it's Michigan fans. It's the only thing you care about. Let's complain even to Tuesday. But heading into a monumental game against USC where the season's on the line, a 1-game season where if the Wolverines win, things balance out, you're going to feel great about yourself. Today's not the day. And Saturday's not. And, thinking about, I want to just put this down and, we'll see, after the game on Saturday, if it doesn't go, that's going to be the time. That will be the time. Here, okay, Hadley. We'll take 3 more after Hadley. Sit here all day. Hadley says Mullings needs to have more carries than Edwards to win this game. How many rushing yards do you think Michigan needs to pull this off? Are you going and run onto the field? Well, they don't let the media on the field anymore. But I'm not going to this game. I will be watching it and then doing the podcast afterwards. Back in the day, I did like going down on the field with about, 5-6 minutes to go. And then I wouldn't run on the field. I would just walk on the field. It's different when you're in the, I know you're being funny too, Hadley. Like the media now, when people say Michigan media, they basically are just a bunch of fans that they've given credentials to. And these guys have Michigan hats on. They are running on the field, high-fiving each other. Woo! And, I'm surprised they're not asking for autographs. Hey, it's working for them, and they continue to have jobs. I have a different approach. I try to, when I got into the business, there weren't those kind of people. It was more of a professional type approach. There wasn't cheering in the press box or high-fiving on the sideline or saying we or, that kind of stuff. But I get your point about Mullings. His thing is Donovan Edwards is a home run threat anytime he has the ball. And I know when he swings and misses and strikes out, goes back to the dugout, everybody just shrugs their shoulders. But he can connect. We've seen him do it. And a couple of those balls get hit over the fence, and then, woo, it's Dono. So you got to test him. And, how many times, different spots to get him the ball. There's an idea that Michigan should use, not that they're using him incorrectly, but they could use him more like, who was that? A Buckeye. Well, Curtis Samuel. Who does he play for now? Buffalo, I think. He played for the Commanders and Carolina, I think. Curtis Samuel was a running back. He's a wide receiver in the pros now. Or Percy Harvin. That's the kind of player that Donovan Edwards, now this coaching staff has watched Percy Harvin and Curtis Samuel, and they get all this information, how they think about it. Do I think, running Donovan Edwards on the first play of the game up the middle is a good idea? No. I don't. I would put Mullings up there. But they are going to be running and run pass options, so I like the idea of having Mullings and Edwards in the backfield at sometimes with Orji, and I like having the wide receivers coming in motion, sometimes feel like an end around. I like the idea of having a lot of eye candy back and forth with Orji having it where they have to key on him because Orji just needs a step. And I think Edwards just needs a step. Mullings, to your point, why you want to give him the carries, it does feel like this is a Mullings game. Who has been Michigan's number one offensive player? The answer is Colston Loveland. But, we don't know. And his availability, he's going to be less than 100%. I think we could all agree on that. And Orji's forte is not throwing the football. You're going to have to develop that in this game on Saturday, Hadley. So Michigan's best approach is Mullings and Edwards. Now, you want to give him more carries? All right, I'm fine with it. But you got to get Dono. He can win you the ball game. So you got to get him. Can you get Mullings and Edwards enough touches where they feel like they're going to get into a groove or they're going to get into a rhythm? Yes. But it's all incumbent on this offensive line. They're the number one key. Orji, I've said here, Orji this, Orji that. That offensive line's got to come off the ball. They got to play as a unit, and they got to do everything that everyone before them has been able to do at Michigan, and that has become a single unit, not individual players. They've all got to. They're the ones that have to control this game. This game is on Michigan's offensive line. They're going to help Orji out. Obviously, they're going to help the two running backs as well. You give those guys some daylight, they can win you the ball game. This game is on the offensive line and Wink and Orji, and then those running backs. So there you go, Hadley. 3 more, I said. Don says they will have to pass at least 18 to 20. This offensive line isn't last year at Penn State. If I had to guess at the time, what do you get? 6? I don't think that they're going to be throwing anywhere close to 18 times. I'll say under 10. I think Michigan will throw the ball under 10 times on Saturday. That's it. John laughing at my air conditioning story. So that's how far back I am. Courtney, you missed me saying that the part about hurting this defense, maybe Wink has learned. Wink has been through it in the NFL. You were afraid. I know. Let's see. I know. I hear what you're saying. USC's got a great fight song. They got the white horse and the Trojan and the sword. Growing up, it's like it's the only thing I can remember is like Michigan playing USC in the Rose Bowl and getting beat. And then I only went to one Rose Bowl in my life, and it was against USC. Oh, yeah, USC. USC's, there's Michigan, and, you go over some of the other teams. We all know them, but pretty soon you're talking about classic brands in college football. You're saying you're saying USC. And yeah, USC's got a lot of nice stuff going for it. That's for sure. And hopefully in their first ever Big Ten game, they get a big fat L. And you're like, hey, it's going to be an adjustment for Lincoln Riley. That defense played against LSU, but this is the Big Ten. Ted noticed a huge difference when he moved from Michigan to North Carolina. Everyone down here is friendly, welcoming, and ready to help when shopping. It's like a bizarro world and so much better. Ted, my wife said the same thing. She was doing some work down. She's back here regionally in Michigan, but she was traveling a lot down to North Carolina. And they're all calling her ma'am and miss. And she's like, it's pretty weird. Everybody have a nice day. I try to stay away from fast food places. So right now I'm just had a great month. But there have been times that I've gone to the fast food. You get in there, nothing where you can. I will talk. I'm not the clearest speaker, but I attempt to give the correct pronunciation and all of this diction when ordering my food. And almost every time I'll say, yes, could I have a number one with a Coke? Excuse me? What? What do you mean, excuse me? And then I hand someone the money, and it's like this. All right, then. They're not even looking at me. No, thank you. And have a nice day. Stay away. Stay away from fast food. But I hear you. Edwards will throw a long one. Yeah. I've got Donovan Edwards over if it's, if they, the gambling lines, they'll say over, a half of a pass, 0.5. I'm over. I think he's going to throw a pass. I think that's going to happen. Let's see if anybody's just jumped in that wanted to make a point that we could get in here. The last person, Mike. What do you think of number 2 playing some offensive snaps? Number 2 is Jaden Davis. Yeah, I think in this game, much like I thought at the beginning of the season, I like Mike picking one quarterback and then playing that quarterback and heading into this season. Now, if this was last year and Michigan had an exhibition season of East Carolina, UNLV, BG, and they were starting out with Rutgers and Nebraska, do I think putting in Orji and spilling in the competition into game week, do I think that would have been okay? I do. That would have been much like Jim Harbaugh. But I don't like it when you had two of the best offensive minds and two big-time games coming up in week 2 and week 4 in Texas and USC. So no. I only want to see one quarterback while the game is in hand on Saturday. I only want to see one center. I only want to see one right tackle. And this goes for offensive line and quarterback. I don't know if it's just me being old school. Sharon's young, the staff, they got a bunch of young dudes, and you always say, this is a young man's game. I buy all of that. It's analytics. Pick one quarterback and play him. Pick one offensive line and play him. What I've always heard is that the offensive line has to grow as a unit and gel. Well, let's see them do that. Let's not do what they did. Let's just play one. So no, yeah, if Michigan is up, 30-10 with 4 minutes to go, I would like to see Jaden Davis get in there. But I mean, if you're talking about putting him in some kind of role, or Michigan get no, I'm not for that. Was it 75 on Thanksgiving last year? Well, it's good. Good to have that air conditioning rolling. OT is Edda has not looked good. Ike has looked Jaden Hood or has looked good. I don't know. I said 2 or 3 more. I've read 5 cents, so I don't know what's going on. OT's not feeling it. The way more. What about benching Warren for Orji? Is so amateur hour. It feels like Hoke when he benched Gardner for Morris. Uh, well, I don't know, OT. I mean, I could sit here and talk about that whole thing. I didn't. I thought that it was not a good situation from the start, but Davis Warren benched himself. And we all saw what happened. I mean, he was given the opportunity through 3 games, and what we have seen is that he's not ready to play. The game is too fast for him. That's obvious. We don't know. So what we do know is that Davis Warren, the game's too fast for him. Everyone agrees on that. We don't know about Orji. We do know that Warren beat Orji when they put the competition in. When Moore was asked about it, he said he made more throws and moved the team better. Now, I feel like I get that. If you have an orange shirt on, like Michigan wasn't, they might have been coming in and they might have been able to thud the quarterback or anything else. It wasn't a true live situation with Davis Warren when they were working him out. And the competition was with Orji. And I could see how Davis Warren could win the job. You give him some time in the pocket, he can go out there and he looked like Peyton Manning. He looked like J.J. McCarthy. Far hash, boom, shot down the middle, deep ball like he had in the spring game. I mean, this guy can throw, but the game isn't played that way. The other team's coming in to rip your freaking head off. And you can't be throwing off the back of your foot and you can't be rushed and everything else. It reminded me of Joe Milton. Joe Milton beat out McCaffrey in shorts and a T-shirt. Of course, Joe Milton standing back there. You can't hit him. Woo! Hit 80 yards down the field. Of course, Davis Warren won the job that way. You can't hit him. Davis Warren would be an All-American if he had an orange jersey on. So I think I'm not talking about, the past and if they screwed that up and if it was amateur hour. I think starting on Monday that Moore made the correct move by announcing when he did Alex Orji. And you might be just joining us, OT. I went over that very point at the beginning. Well, that's going to do it for the show today. Coming up on Friday, it'll be a football Friday. We'll be raring to go the eve of Michigan and USC. Very excited about it. We'd love to see you over on the Maize and Blue Review. Go to michigan.rivals.com. Oh, man, the AC. I'll pull a JJ McCarthy out. JJ is really big into meditation. And for the longest time, I tried some meditation and it would say, be present. And I never got that. I was like, okay, I'm present. I'm here. I'm in it. But the more I've thought about it is that, yeah, I am present. I'm very grateful for this air conditioning to be flowing over my body right now. It feels great. And while I stay present, I am just thinking about not recruiting down the line or how Michigan is going to do against Ohio State or the college football playoff. I'm thinking about a tailgate on Saturday. I'm thinking about the USC. Before that, man, I'm just going to enjoy a Wednesday night and watch my favorite Detroit Tiger pitch in a meaningful baseball game on September 18th, and I'm going to have a hell of a time. And it's what I don't know, like sound like it's what life's all about. I mean, I'll include my wife, and so then I can feel like, hey, this is what it's all about: spending some quality time. get get some get the animals. Let's go. All right. Thanks so much. Smash that like button. We'll talk with you coming up on Friday. Give you a wink like for Wink Martindale. My wink.